Welcome once again to this week's edition of an Irritable American's weekly mailbag, during which I will read to you everything you could have read for yourself Monday through Friday on my Substack, Ask an Irritable American. Monday. Dear Irritable Person, I'm worried about the latest news out of Washington. Should I be? Sincerely, Undecided. Dear Undecided, I'm of two minds, at least. I hate Orange Man's policies. They're a disaster. But I like that he's a man's man who knows how to abuse women and minorities and get his way. The rules and the Constitution be damned. Announcing that he's going to root out violent crime in a city where violent crime is at a 34-year low is a genius move. Violent crime is sure to go up, and when it does, he can use that as an excuse to send even more military into the capital and other cities. But I do like to see a president who gets things done, even if the things he's doing are awful. And I will definitely vote for him again the next time he incites a coup to overthrow the government. The man's an evil troll, but he's effective. He's effectively destroying the country, and I admire that about him. He gets things done. Sincerely, Irritable American. Tuesday. Dear Irritable American, I've always been afraid of being myself around other people, of voicing my opinions and letting people know who I really am. The only time I wear my Bernie shirt is when I know I'm staying inside all day, and my Zoran tote bag never leaves my laundry room in the basement. If I had friends, I think they would call me a coward. What do you say? If someone were to call me out for my craven behavior, I think that might be enough to shame me into being braver. Sincerely, Craven. Dear Craven, I don't think you're being craven at all. I think you're showing uncommon good sense. I never buy any politically branded merchandise. I don't want anyone associating my physical body with a particular political party or point of view. I don't even wear Nike t-shirts. I prefer to slip in and out of the shadows, which is tough to do when I go to the mall in town, but I wear a heavy coat, hat, and sunglasses, so I like to think I create my own shadow. I think your cowardice is a reasonable course of behavior, particularly these days. I say let other people get loud and stop the world from turning to shit. I'll coast in your downdraft, lefties. All I can tell you is that I've let fear run my life, and I wouldn't trade it for anything, because I'm afraid to. Thanks to fear, I have a lovely, naturally air-conditioned, because it's drafty and poorly sealed, cabin in the woods where I live alone. I can wear whatever I like, or as little as I like, within these four walls, or indeed for miles in any direction. Who's to tell me different, except the voices in my head that constantly criticize me? Grandpa, pipe down. You've been dead for 60 years. Give it a rest. Be well. Sincerely, Irritable American. Wednesday. Dear Irritable American, I've lived in Washington, D.C. all my life. I'm not in the government or anything like that. I'm just an ordinary resident. I work at a public library and I see all kinds of people come through, mostly ordinary people like me who work hard to get by. And yes, I see some people who are struggling with their own demons. These people usually come to the library to surf porn on the internet, so we hustle them out as quick as we can. So sure, there are people in the district who have issues, and we do have crime, like any other place in America or the world. But when I hear the president talking about how our city is overrun by violent gangs and mobs of drugged-out criminals, that just doesn't line up with the reality I see in our city every day. I see peaceful neighbors helping each other out, going to work, taking care of their families. I see a city that feels safer, and is safer according to the crime statistics, than it has in 30 years. So I would like to invite you to leave your cabin in the woods and come visit us, so that you can tell other people that D.C. is a great and safe place to live. I hope that you will accept my invitation. Sincerely, a proud Washingtonian. Dear Washingtonian, do you think I'm stupid? I believe every word the president says about Washington, D.C. He may be an idiot, but he's the president. He must be right about something. Who do you expect me to believe, him or your own eyes? Thank God I live in an isolated cabin in the woods. Because of my remote location, I'm only able to monitor the news via my handy-dandy shortwave radio. It's only good for long-distance communication, so I have to get my local news via a Voice of America station located in Argentina, but it works for me. You, Washingtonian, presume that the limited view you have from your window gives you a better perspective than I have from thousands of miles away. How arrogant of you, and how wrong. When I turn on my shortwave, close my eyes, and listen, I take the long view, and I can see what your city truly is. It's a city where the streets run red with blood, where the warriors from the 1979 gang movie of the same name are in an endless apocalyptic turf battle with the Jets from West Side Story. And where are the cops? They're all dressed up in masks and war paint like those weirdos from the last good Mad Max movie, and they're running down innocent civilians with their souped-up police hot rods. Those civilians are kept under lock and key, bred for slaughter like livestock, and housed in the caverns beyond Thunder Capitol Dome. And you can't tell me any different. I heard it on the radio and saw it in the movies. Get away from me with your first-person reportage and crime statistics and actual lived experience and facts. Everyone knows that truth is something you feel, not something that can be reasonably debated or factually proven. But good luck trying to dupe other people into your literal tourist trap, miscreant. Sincerely, Irritable American. Thursday. Dear Irritable Person, I've been compulsively watching every TikTok video I can find of the concert production of Jesus Christ Superstar that they staged at the Hollywood Bowl recently, and now I keep hearing everything's all right, yes, everything's fine, playing in my head every waking moment of the day. It's on constant rotation, allaying my heretofore persistent anxiety and softening my competitive edge. How can I get it to stop? Sincerely, Numbed. Dear Numbed, stay off TikTok and blast Helter Skelter through your earbuds. Not only will that song selection erase Jesus Christ from your thoughts, but it is more in keeping with where the world seems to be heading. Not that I'm worried about impending chaos. I live far enough from civilization that the blowback won't affect me. However, I don't want any of you Nimrods to start building cabins all around me. My lifestyle only works, and only works for me, because none of you are around. So the rest of you can just stay put in hell's waiting room. As to what you should do while you wait for death's sweet release, I don't know. Maybe make the world a better place? Be kind to your neighbor and recognize the humanity in those you fear or hate? You know, all that biblical bullshit. But stick with the New Testament. It's got all that new agey granola goodness, whereas the Old Testament has all the plagues and floods and angry old man on cloud stuff. And there's plenty of that in the world already. So yeah, that's all I got for you. Treat others as you would have them treat you. I don't expect it to work, but frankly, I don't see any alternative for you sad sacks and losers. Good luck, Irritable Person. Friday. Dear Irritable American, I've been hearing about how the president wants to move all of the homeless people out of Washington, D.C.'s parks and streets and send them all somewhere else. But wouldn't the solution to the homeless problem be to help the homeless find homes and provide the services they need to maintain that housing? If you just move the homeless to a different park in the next county, aren't they still homeless? It doesn't sound like the president is solving the problem. He's just spreading it around. Or at best, he's moving it somewhere else where he doesn't have to look at it and can pretend the problem no longer exists. What am I missing here? Sincerely, Puzzled. Dear Puzzled, you're being much too literal when you bandy about terms like homeless and homes. For one thing, the liberals call them the unhoused. So, by your estimation, to solve the unhoused problem, we would need to find each of them a house. That seems a bit too generous, and frankly unnecessary. Does every single one of them really need a bi-level ranch house on a quarter-acre lot in the suburbs? Also, are you sure all of them deserve shelter? Some of them look pretty nasty and crazy. Next, you'll be saying that a society as wealthy as ours should be able to provide people who need it with mental health counseling, substance abuse rehabilitation, and food. But who's going to pay for that? Billionaires? In this scenario, we would provide them with cabins or bachelor apartments, in which case we couldn't call them homeless or unhoused. We would have to call them cabinettes or bachelors. You can see how much confusion this would cause. The only problem I see with the president's plan is that we're going to need more parks and bigger ones in which to hide all the homeless people. And I don't want them moving in within 3 miles of my cabin. Not in my backyard, Orange Mussolini. Don't you dare. Sincerely, Irritable American. And that's it for this week's mailbag. Look for Irritable American's weekly catch-up audio mailbag every Sunday. And follow the daily column, Ask an Irritable American, every Monday through Friday on Substack. Or subscribe. It's free and virtually certain to remain so for the foreseeable future.